is your host, Roderick Swift, every Wednesday, Musicians Matters Podcast, live right here at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Positive Power, 21 Christian Media, LLC. Let's go!
I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Musicians Matters. This night is going to be an awesome and a dynamic night with Professor Robert Shipley. Says Robert Shipley is an accomplished musician who has various styles of playing, including but not limited pop, jazz, and R&B music, Latin music, and whether playing with jazz, trios, bands, or symphonies or orchestras, Robert personally can add his own creative to rhythmic music. Let's welcome Professor Robert Shipley. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing real great today, Professor. How you doing today?
I'm fabulous, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Professor.
Wow. Where do I start?
That's what I'm saying. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know about you, but the world don't know about you.
I'm just a humble drummer from the south side of Chicago, born and raised on the south side of Chicago. I started my journey. I'm blessed in that I knew what I wanted to do with my life starting at 10 years old when I started taking drum lessons. My father was a recording engineer. He built a recording studio for my twin brother and I, and we started our band in fifth grade. My brother played guitar. I was on drums. By like sixth grade, we had a band with lead vocalist, neighborhood kids, a female lead vocalist. She was a freshman at a nearby high school. And we had a mentor from the Five Stair Steps. They had a big hit out called Ooh Child. He was working with us. So, I mean, we were winning first place talent shows at the high school that our lead vocalist went to. My dad took us all over town. Chicago was, of course, a thriving musical town. So, I mean, he raised us not to be shy, not to be starstruck. We were always backstage at venues, clubs. That's the kind of guy he was, and he was raising us to not be shy around celebrities. And I think that kind of paid off, not even knowing that, he had instilled that in us. Fast forward to high school. I went to Chicago Vocational High School, majored in music. It was a thriving music program that prepared me further than I realized until I graduated high school and went to college. Marching band scholarship at Kentucky State. Spent a year down there, and I was performing in every ensemble. I hardly gave any other drummers a chance to participate in any of the groups because I was playing with everything from the vocal choir, touring with them, the marching band, a tuba ensemble, the pep band for the sports events. I got a little bored down there when I went back home to Chicago. I attended American Conservatory of Music for a year, and a gentleman who was a well-established drummer in Chicago, Ike Davis, took me up on the north side, took me around the clubs. We must have visited about 6 clubs on the north side, blues and jazz joints. He was introducing me. Next thing I know, people were calling me. I started traveling with blues bands. I'm about 20, 21 years old. I got introduced to a drummer with Gatemouth Brown. So they were They were out of New Orleans. And this drummer, Ricky Sebastian, was moving to New York. He went on and had a great career in New York, playing with, the Brecker Brothers, Sonny Rollins, all these greats. He had his own career. Amazing drummer. He says, "Hey, Shipley, you want to come down there to New Orleans and take this gig with this blues group, Gate Mouth Brown?" So I went down there. I was excited to get away from home, and I felt like I was starting my career. With Gate Mouth Brown, we recorded an album. This was the early 80s. It won a Grammy Award for Best Blues Album. I think it was like 81 or 82. Grammy for Best Blues Album. We toured the world, and when we got to LA, like 83, I quit the band. I was infatuated with Hollywood and all that came with it. I stayed there. I'm networking. 6 months later, I got a gig touring with Natalie Cole, and that lasted from 83 to 89. We were touring mostly casino venues, Vegas, Atlantic City, Tahoe, Reno, and we did some touring. We toured with Maze for about a summer, and various other artists, Jeffrey Osborne, Temptations, isolated dates, on the casino circuit, from Lou Rawls to Smokey Robinson. So like I said, that lasted from 83 to 89. In 89, I was finishing a run with Natalie Cole, and I heard Diana Ross was starting the U.S. leg of her world tour. Moyes Lucas was her drummer, but he was going to go, he told Diana Ross he was going to quit and go back with George Michaels. So she didn't believe him, and they were starting the Caesar's Palace run. He quit. I was just finishing a Caesar's Palace run with Natalie Cole. Dionne Warwick was on the bill. I came back from LA, came back to Vegas, auditioned, I got the gig. So I did the U.S. leg of her world tour. And obviously I quit Natalie to do that. Man, this story's long. So you asked, you asked for it. I don't know if you want to quit going. But I mean,
so check it out. We're gonna talk about a little bit of this stuff. I was just looking at your biography, and this is very interesting. I'm telling you, whoever's listening to this podcast, this young man, Professor Shipley, has been around.
Well, just to sum it up and. Just to sum up what I was about to finish, let me just put a quick cap on that. Okay, so after Diana Ross, the Temptations for a year, Shaka Khan, the OJs, I started with the OJs in 90, and I did 12 years with them. So 1990 to 2002, I was with the OJs. But during that 12 years, I left them and went out with Shaka for 3 years, and then I came back to them. So, Diana Ross, Temptations, Shaka Khan, the OJs. In the middle of all that, I did some spot dates with R. Kelly, Gerald Levert, Ben Vereen, Carnegie Hall, even television dates with Eric Benet and Eartha Kitt on The Nanny. So Hollywood afforded me a lot of different, opportunities.
Yes, sir. As far as those appearances that you have seen, that I'm seeing, as far as Soul Train, did you ever appear on Soul Train too?
You know what? I don't remember. No, I don't think I did Soul Train. The Tonight Show, Oprah Winfrey twice, American Bandstand. You want to go way back to like the 80s with Natalie Cole, American Bandstand, and I did a lot, VH1. We did a couple of HBO specials, those Sinbad Soul Fest specials. We did two. I did two of those, one with Natalie and one with, one with the OJs and one with Shaka Khan. So I did a lot, but I don't think I ever did Soul Train.
The reason why your brother asked is this, because of Soul Train. I was hearing back in the days when I was watching it that they did have you on there, but as far as of you you playing, you was basically doing the music beforehand, and they was basically reading your lips. Did you hear anything about that?
Oh yeah, it was all pantomized. Most of those performances were to the record. I don't even think they pre-recorded it. I think they actually just played the record. A lot of those shows back then were kind of like that. They would play the record and you would pantomize. So much so that we did one TV show, and just to make fun of it, we played instruments that we didn't even know how to play, just to be to be messing around. I'd be on keyboards, the keyboard player would be on drums, and it's like, hey, we're faking it anyway, so what the heck? But yeah,
exactly, yeah, that was very interesting. I just had to ask you about that. I was just going to ask you about that. A lot of experience with
Go ahead.
It was a lot of simple. It was simple. Yeah, it was simple to you because you.
No. What I was going to say was the symbols. No, what I was going to say was the cymbals were actually plastic, so they didn't make sound. They wouldn't ring out because they didn't want anything ringing out. Everything was silent, and we were just pantomizing. So all of the drums and the cymbals were like sound off, like just practice pads and stuff. They weren't real.
Wow. I'm gonna bring up one of my favorite groups that you played for. We're gonna talk a little bit about that. I'm not gonna play it, but I'm gonna bring it up. OJs. I was just looking at your video. How was that aspect with you when you was playing with the OJs?
People ask me what was my favorite band to play with, and I like different acts for different reasons. I might have liked one act because it was a bigger production, or it was more money, or one act might have been, I love their music. Well, the OJs, I love their music. I grew up on their music, so I was a fan of Eddie and Walter and those guys and their music from just growing up listening to them. But they were more of a family. It was all guys. I had been with Natalie Cole, Diana Ross, Shaka Khan. So, they're women and female background singers and all that. But with the guys, with the OJs, it was just guys, man. It was so much fun. So I enjoyed their music, and it was a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. How was it aspect when you was playing For the Love of Money, when I seen you playing it? How did you like that?
We always closed the show with Money because that was like their really big hit, so we couldn't not do a show and not play that. So most times often we closed the show with that. And the groove for that is so different. It goes into the beat. What, huh?
Can you let the world know what you're talking about when you say it's so different? Because us as musicians or us as drummers, they want to hear that basically. So what you are saying is, was it on the downbeat or was it on the upbeat or stuff like that? Okay. Let them know about.
You know how generally the snare is on 2 and 4, 99% of the time.
Right. Yes, sir.
Well, once you get into the beat or the groove of the song, the snare is on the 2 and 4. But in the intro, boom, 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 snare, crash, boom, bass,
right.
bass, snare, snare, crash, boom, 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 snare,
yes,
crash. So that's the intro, and a lot of people. That's what I think is unique about it. It's different in that it was orchestrated in a way where the snare wasn't on 2 or 4 until you get into the sound, and then you're in the verse. Then the snare goes to 2 and 4. So that's why it was different.
That's amazing.
Anthony Jackson.
That bass line was no joke.
That was iconic, man. That was Anthony Jackson, and I think he got some writers' credits, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard that rumor because it was such a strong character of the song that, and I don't know if he made it up. He might, a lot of those times, people just made stuff up in the studio, and they say, "Hey, man, what is that?" Yeah, and they'll write the song around, just messing around. Our bass player with the OJs, Jimmy Williams, rest in peace. He used to be the studio bassist for Gamble and Huff, that Philly sound, in which the OJs recorded a lot of the hits. So he wrote "Ain't No Stopping Us Now," which is an iconic bass line.
Yeah.
The story goes, he was just messing around in the studio with a line, with a little bass line, and they said, "Hey, what's that?" Sure enough, they came in the next day with some lyrics to it. "Ain't no stopping us now," and they wrote the song around that bass line. Did he get credit or money for it? I don't know. The story goes he didn't, but yeah, there you go.
Wow, that is amazing. So, as far as the Keith Sweat, how was that situation? How was that atmosphere? Was it a deep, a low atmosphere? Because, say for instance, when you was playing for the OJs, you can play ballads. You can play basically one of the favorite songs I write. I liked just now, "For the Love of Money." Matter of fact, I wrote on "For the Love of Money" all the way from Las Vegas to Arkansas. Can you imagine that on an 8-track?
Oh no!
Seriously.
Man, they got so many his family reunion, and oh man, the list goes on, man. We grew up on that stuff. Man. But Keith Sweat, Johnny Gill, you're probably looking at the list of all those people I played with. A lot of that came from when Gerald Levert passed, and Eddie Levert was kind of not trying to get away from the OJs, but he started something called Timeless Voices. So him, Dennis Edwards from the Temptations, Gerald Alston from the Manhattans. Am I calling that right? Yeah, it's the Manhattans, right? Who else? Keith Sweat, Johnny Gill. He tried to get some LSG. When Gerald had LSG, that was Gerald Levert, Johnny Gill, Keith Sweat. So we did a lot of dates kind of in tribute to Gerald Levert to keep his memory alive. And I was the musical director for the band. So we had to learn all of their material. And Keith Sweat brought in his keyboard player. Johnny Gill didn't bring in any of his musicians, but yeah, that was my experience and my opportunity to play behind them. 3 or 4 of their songs, and we put a show together where all of them were featured as lead vocalists. It was a good little opportunity, man. I didn't stay with them long because I was in Vegas at the time. After my touring experience ended in 2002 when I moved to Vegas. I kind of got weary of the road and the ups and downs, and I realized somebody called me and offered me a residency in a lounge, and it was good pay, great band. And I said, hey, man, I'm going to miss playing with these name acts, but I'm going to love more the consistency where I don't have to worry, after a tour ends and you got months off here and there. And it's always a challenge, just for the love of music to stay in it. But man, to be able to have consistent work for years. And that's what I did. And I found that, it was nice playing with those name acts and all the limos and all the glitter and gold and the big arenas and all that comes with it. But all I really wanted to do was play some music and be able to keep some food in my refrigerator and pay my bills, and my family's, is secure, stable. So I did that when I moved to Vegas for 18 years, and then I decided to go back to school after a nice career, just playing lounges and some showroom gigs in Vegas. Mm-hmm. I started thinking at 58 years old, where am I going to be 10 years from now? So I said, Bill Vereen's musical director is the director of jazz studies at UNLV, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And his name's Dave Lowe. So he invited me, he said, hey, come over to UNLV and we'll get you your degrees, you know. And I said, man, that's a good idea. 10 years from now, you know, I might want to put the sticks down and just pass this knowledge, wisdom, experience on to the next generation. And it worked out. God just kind of led me through 6 years of college, got my undergrad, you know, my master's, bachelor's, my master's in jazz composition. And 2 weeks before I graduated, I put out some applications and I got an offer, and that's how I wound up at Hope College. And God's just been blessing me. So I didn't mean to veer off to somewhere else. I don't know if you were ready to talk about that aspect, but I thought I'd finish, you know, kind of sum up my story and how I wound up where I am.
Yeah, let us know about Hope College now, Professor.
I'm sorry?
What you do at Hope College. Let us know about what you do now at the college now.
Yeah, so they hired
me. Professional.
Yeah, so they hired me as a full-time professor as opposed to adjunct. Nothing against adjunct, but I am assistant professor on a tenured track. I am the director of jazz studies. So it's a small college. I'm not going to say like it's a big, you know, Michigan State University or UNLV where I came from with a thriving area. They hired me to grow their program, and it's a small Christian liberal arts college, but a beautiful little town, man. So peaceful. I just dreamed of, you know, living in an environment, especially after growing up in a major city like Chicago. I've lived in LA, I've lived in Atlanta, I've lived in New Orleans, I've traveled the world, I've done 2 residencies in the south of France. You know, so I've seen a lot, and, you know, I think it's a good place for me. But yes, I'm over the jazz area, which means I organize everything from the concerts, the courses, the auditions, the lessons with all my faculty that come with the jazz area. We have, you know, keyboard instructor, bass instructor. I instruct drum lessons, guitar, composition lessons, and all that stuff. So I have to organize everything. It's a lot of work. I'm a full-time professor, so I lecture a couple of classes. I was doing history of rock and roll. I taught jazz history. I wrote my second drum method book, and I'm working on the third now. I do a lot of master classes. I have to attend conferences and represent the college for recruitment purposes. And so it's a lot. It's a whole new journey for me. I'm very excited to be in it. It keeps me in music. It keeps me thrilled when I see students, you know, allowing me the privilege of being in their academic journey as they pursue trying to make their mark on life. And it's such a blessing.
Yeah, that is. It sounds like it's a blessing. Now, as far as you, as a professor or as a musician, give the musicians coming up some words of wisdom that they need to know about this music career, because it's not all good. I mean, it's not all peaches and cream when they start. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, I mean, what I see, for example, in Holland, it's a small town. There aren't as many venues. There's not a lot of venues. There's not a lot of opportunity for musicians to perform. And I grew up in a city that's thriving with all of these opportunities. I just looked up Google, like, what's going on in Chicago, and it said 50 things to do right now. And it's all these festivals and food, Taste of Chicago, and, of course, art museums and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm reading a book by Ricky Minor. It's called, and I'm very proud of it. If you don't know Ricky Minor, you should, because anybody out there, he was Whitney Houston's musical director and bass player, American Idol's musical director, the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. He was the musical director and bass player, and just Grammy Awards and Super Bowl, and I mean everything. So his story is all in this book, but the title says it all. No Traffic in the Extra Mile, which is the story of his life and how he always pushed to go that extra mile. And at the end of his endeavors, he would look around and there would be less competition, is what he means. You know, really strive hard for everything you do. And he did. I met him when I said Natalie Cole. I was with Natalie Cole touring the casino towns, Vegas, Atlantic City, whatever. Well, we worked often with Lou Rawls. And he was the bass player there. We were like, I was probably 23 years old. He was probably a year younger, 22. But I would hardly see him. I would hang out with the cats in both bands, our band, Lou Rawls' band. We would rent, say in Tahoe, rent jet skis and bikes and do all kind of stuff, hanging out. And I wouldn't see Ricky often because he would be in his room shedding. He was always studying and reading his stories. Anyway, if I had words of wisdom or encouragement for students, younger generation, it would be first to make it always about the music. I remember when I was young and I was curious, am I going to make my mark in life? Am I going to be able to get out there and compete? Am I going to have a thriving career? And I look back now and I say, yeah, wow, I really did. But there were times when my faith was challenged and tested, and I would get resentful toward people who I thought had opportunities to hook me up. But what I didn't know at that time was God was in control and he had a plan for me. And so it really wasn't about the people. It was about God putting me and me trying to just work really hard, just work and focus on what you need to do. Ricky says in his book, if you want to climb mountains, you got to go where the mountains are. So I would suggest putting yourself in thriving environments. If you're in a small town, chances are much harder for you to make it. So you got to put yourself out there where the competition is tough. And yeah, it might be pretty rough for you, but work really hard while you're in your formative years to just practice. That's what I see as a common denominator common factor between those that are great. A dear friend of mine I went to high school with, Gerald Jones, has been the bassist for the Rolling Stones for the last 20 years. Well, we went to high school together. Wow. We were often, he said I had a studio in our basement, my twin brother and I. Gerald would come over often, and he and I would just shed, man, for hours on grooves, on odd time meters, on just exploring stuff. I would come to his house and shed. And he was one of those, extra mile kind of guys. I was too. And so we both found that we were ahead of our peers once we got into college. I don't know. Shaka said this on one of the TV shows we did, and it seems a little weird, but I think it's relevant to say. They said, well, what would be some words of encouragement, Shaka, if you had to tell some young up-and-coming vocalists? And she said, well, something my daddy told me a long time ago. She said, the toilet is the great equalizer. And people were like, what? They thought she was going to say, if you work hard and you follow your dreams and you can do anything. And then she came with that. But what she was saying was, don't put stars up on this pedestal. We're all people. And, who knows what she was going through at the time. But she was just kind of trying to say, we aren't special. We just worked really hard. All the people that have accomplished things, they were extra mile kind of people, and they worked really hard. They were really passionate. So the amount of your passion will drive how much time and effort you're going to put in to being great. You don't just be great. Nobody just can take a secret pill or something. You got to put the work in. So I don't know.
Yes, that's right. That's true. That's true.
And keep God first.
Did Shaka get? That's right. Did Shaka get on your set of drums?
Yeah, Shaka would get on some drums. She had a timbali solo. She loved some drums. Stevie Wonder was the same way. Now, I lived with Dennis Davis, who was Stevie's drummer at the time, and you might remember him from Do I Do. Dennis playing by himself, man.
Yeah.
He played a lot of those records, and he and I were roommates. But But yeah, Stevie, Shaka, they love some drums, man. I got pictures of me and friends on my Facebook page where Stevie came and sat in. I did a residency over in the south of France, Monte Carlo area, where, Shaka came to sit in. Luther Vandross visited Earth, Wind and Fire, and all those guys. And yeah, Stevie, we had a ball, man. We would play all night up until the wee hours, like 5, 6 in the morning, just jamming. Yeah, Shaka loves some drums.
Wow. So let us know, let the world know about your book that's out, Well-Rounded Drummers.
Yeah. So, Complete Drum Methods for the Well-Rounded Drummer. It's on the Kendall Hunt website, Kendall Hunt. Complete Drum Methods for the Well-Rounded Drummer. I have a lot of, I don't know that there's anything new out there. I look over my 50 plus years of playing drums. I've studied so many books and learned from so many different drummers. And so a lot of what I did in here was like thinking, how do I want to teach my students? How do I want to practice? Taking some drum methods from here, from this guy, and from that guy, and merging them and making them my own. So Alan Dawson has these rudimental rituals where he implements just the standard rudiments in a jazz fashion. Marvin Smitty Smith has some rudiments that he wrote that I ran across and said, wow, I wasn't even aware. I don't know if it's in a book. I think I just found a PDF of just these rudiments Marvin Smitty Smith, great drummer, wrote. And I said, I've got a pocket system where a lot of drummers, I was always told I had a great pocket. And
yeah,
what I picked up was when I'm playing on a groove and my right hand on the hi-hat, the minute I come off as I'm playing that hi-hat and say I do a drum fill or go to my ride cymbal, my left foot would automatically start playing eighth notes. And so I'm doing a solo, my left foot, just keeping time. So it keeps me centered. So one day, I was playing with a percussionist in Vegas, Jerry Lopez's brother, Lenny Lopez. They have that group Santa Fe. So I was doing I did an 8-year Motown tribute showroom gig called Hitsfield. And Lenny was subbing on percussion. He says, man, you're a great hi-hat drummer. I said, I had to think about it. Wait a minute, I've never been called that, a hi-hat drummer. I said, oh, he's talking about how I'm always playing the hi-hat with my foot. A lot of people lock into that, even though it's a little subtle sound, but it keeps the pocket. That's why I said, okay, I'm gonna put that in a book. I've never seen that in a book where they're actually, a lot of drummers don't have the stamina to keep that hi-hat. I'm teaching new drummers, different methods, and I'm trying to teach them this pocket system in my book. And it takes them a while to build that stamina up where I can do that for hours. So that's something I said that needs to be in a book. And I wrote it. I've got some double bass drum stuff. I've got some syncopation, just some jazz reading where you're playing a swing ostinato. And I wrote that in a musical context. So I have what I call trading fours. You'll play a swing ostinato, you'll read a pattern, a jazz pattern on your snare, and then you'll do some rudiments for 4 bars. So you got 4 bars of reading, a groove, and then 4 bars of rudiments around the drum set to facilitate fluidity around the drums with rhythm, with rudiments and rhythms. So that's one portion. I got double bass drum exercises. What else? Oh, I've got some rhythm exercises for all musicians. And it's just some simple stuff that I picked up in the south of France using 4-way coordination. And like I said, it's for all musicians because I don't think, all melodic musicians have to read scales and arpeggios and some modes and all that stuff. But I don't think they spend enough time rhythm and really getting strong with rhythm, which can help them with improvisation. So I did learn some techniques that I learned in France from a guy, and I put that transcribed it and put that in the book, and it has a lot of good stuff in it, man. If I must say so myself, things that I haven't seen.
Yes, you're right about that. Shouts out to Eagle Eye Shields. Back in the days, he was the one that gave me the tips on how to keep those CLs running and keep those how to read actually. And my uncle B. Yes, my uncle William B. He was the one. Matter of fact, I named the drums after William B. He's the one that gave me my first opportunity. He was the one who gave me my first opportunity in playing in the jazz session in a restaurant. So, shouts out to them too.
Where were you? And then in Vegas.
This was in Watts, California.
Oh, you from
right off of. No, I'm born and raised in Vegas, but I was in Watts, California, off of 100 and First Street. That's where the restaurant was, where those two towers is.
Oh. Okay.
Yes, I had an opportunity. Yeah, I had an opportunity back in the days. I was just at the age of 14, and he gave me my first opportunity to play in a jazz ensemble with him, and basically it just changed my life from now on. You know, so now I'm able to do basically whatever God has told me, and then basically living my dream just because of he never did give up on me, on my situation. Yeah. So far as of
That's why you're so awesome, man.
Yeah. Now, basically, I was getting ready to tell you something. When you was talking about that hi-hat, keeping the timing and all that. That's basically what I do. I keep the timing with my hi-hat. People be like wondering, okay, what are you doing over there? I'm like, man, I'm keeping the timing. I'm keeping the timing with this hi-hat. This hi-hat and this
That's the pocket.
Yes. I keep the time. My timing is basically ran with that hi-hat, and one, the twos, and the fours, and stuff like that. I use that hi-hat, and it goes. Matter of fact, I go crazy with that hi-hat, and so it helps me go. So that's a blessing that I'm hearing it from a professor. So that must mean I'm doing something right.
Yeah, man. A lot of people think it's the kick drum or it's the snare because it's so loud, but that hi-hat is a small and subtle sound, but it's so everyone in the band locks to that, whether they know they're locking to it or not. That's where the pocket is.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, it just keeps us centered. It becomes our metronome when we don't even realize it. Mm-hmm. It's just something for everyone to lock into. And that's why that guy told me, he said, man, you're a great hi-hat drummer. And I was like, wow, what is he talking about? Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Before we go, we're going to talk about a little bit of our endorsements that you have. I see them on your website. Let them know about your endorsements.
Okay. You know what? Especially, coming up, I used to go to the NAMM shows. If people don't know what that is, National Association of Music Merchants, NAMM, NAMM convention is where all the lines of the manufacturers that manufacture musical instruments go to show their new line to distributors, to your Guitar Centers and your Sam Ashes and all these local music stores. Send their representative. They want to see what all the new line that instruments are coming out. And so all the musicians come to meet the stars that they've grown up loving. The musicians are showing off all the new equipment. You get to network with all your local musicians, the star musicians, the manufacturers, the artist reps. And so a lot of people get their endorsements and create their relationships with the companies at this convention is why I'm bringing it up. So, over many years, man, I've been with DW, Drum Workshop. They're one of the first. And sometimes even when I was with Pearl when in the 80s when I was with Natalie Cole, we did The Tonight Show. And Studio Instrument Rental, SIR, in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, the guy who was over Cartage, he says, man, I like this red drum set they had. He says, okay. So he brought it to the Tonight Show set for me to perform on, and it was a Pearl kit. And he says, man, I know the artist rep for Pearl. He had the guy watch us. He said, you got millions of people watching you on the Tonight Show. So that started my relationship with Pearl, even though I was playing DW pedals. I like their hardware. So I've been with DW for a long time. And I think I've ordered my first kit through them after visiting a NAMM convention, probably my last NAMM convention, because it's been a while since I've been to it. Maybe about 10 years ago while I was doing that Motown showroom gig in Vegas at the Planet Hollywood. I did that for 8 years. I have a beautiful DW kit. I've been with Sabian Cymbals. Oof, man. I guess that would be about 40 years too. Yeah, wow. I met Bill Zildjian, and he's one of the children, Sally, Andy, and Bill, I think, was where S-A-B, Zildjian, Sabian, they developed the name Sabian from those three kids. I hope I'm not messing the story up, but I believe it's Sally, Andy, and Bill. So Bill was my connect to get into the company. He and I met, and we hit it off, man, at one of those NAMM conventions, and I've been with Sabian ever since. I've seen a lot of artists reps coming, but I like their cymbals. They've been consistently putting out good products. Of course, DW's been consistently putting out good products. I've gone through different stick companies, Vic Firth, Vader, and Los Cobos. And so I've kind of been to, COVID came and took a lot of people out, man. I mean, it was nobody touring, You did. So a lot of those companies, man, I've been with Remo, with Drumheads for, forever. And after COVID, everybody was kind of taking the hit like, man, please, we don't want to lose you, but we can't afford to send you anything right now. If you could just wait it out for us and wait till we get through the storm, we'll be able to support you again. But right now, everybody's kind of hurting. And I understood. So, thank God we're back, the music industry's back up and thriving and the companies are doing well again. But, okay, I got with Audix mics, which I have seen in a long time. I'm about to order some more mics from them. SKB cases, Sabian, Remo drumheads, DW drums, Vader sticks. Hope I'm not forgetting anybody. Sabian, I think
you got them all. You got them all. I just had to mess with you. I had to just have to mess with you, but it's definitely.
The college has some great Yamaha kits, and I'm not a Yamaha endorser, but of course I just came into the college with this job, and they have some beautiful Yamaha kits. I just brought in, a new DW kit in my office, and that I teach with, and so there's some good stuff out there.
Awesome. So let the world know where they can reach you at if they want to talk to you or look you up.
Yeah, my email address is comes with the college job. So my last name, Shipley, SHIPLEY @hope.edu, and I love that, man. The name of this college, I'm getting obsessed with Hope because it's faith in the unknown. It's faith in, where people fear to go. We head toward it, and we're thriving for all the positive with all the negative stuff that's going on. So Hope, HOPE, is the name of the college, and that's my email, Shipley @hope.edu. And then there's my website, robertshipley.com. It's really, really simple. I was blessed to be able to get that domain. So you can see I have to work hard on getting that updated. So, but still the basic stuff is in there. You can see some videos of my performances. You can see my bio, contact me through there. So that's robertshipley.com. And the main connect that I send out is my email, shipley@hope.edu.
So, Professor, you're always welcome to this platform, Musicians Matters, on Positive Power 21. I'm really grateful to have my mentor. Matter of fact, he's engineering right now as we speak on this show. And it says, dignity had always gotten us through. It was a choice and not always easy one. But the people I respected most in life and made it again and again every single day. That's written by Michelle Obama. Thank you, Batman. Have a good day.
Join me as your host, Roderick Swift, every Wednesday, Musicians Matters podcast, live right here at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Positive Power 21 Christian Media LLC. Let's go!
You're listening to George Live Worldwide Podcast.